Have you ever wondered if your dog has consciousness? What about a fish? How about an ant, a bacteria, or a stone? What you probably do know for sure is that you are aware of your own existence and, apparently, so are other human beings. But why is that? Is it something that evolved with our species and provides some advantage? Or is it simply something that was given to us? Why do humans develop consciousness? What is consciousness? Philosophers, psychologists, theologians, and other thinkers have not reached a consensus. Is consciousness the same as the mind, or is it just an aspect of the mind? Is it rather the self, the essence of being, something like the soul? Or is it the ability to be aware of our own existence? Perhaps the most fundamental aspect of consciousness, one that encompasses the others and at the same time the most mysterious, is the ability to have subjective experiences. Consider this: when a being reacts to an external stimulus, do they move merely like an automatic mechanism, or is there someone who experiences qualia, such as colors, temperature, pain, or pleasure, and consequently perceives itself? Historically, there have been two basic ways to approach the topic of consciousness: the dualist and the materialist. You might have thought about this at some point. You know that the mechanism of the eye is like a camera that projects an inverted image onto your retina. Cones and rods convert light into signals that travel through the optic nerve and reach the brain, where they are decoded and interpreted as an image right side up coming from the outside. But who flips and interprets the image? Is there another little person inside, a homunculus, seeing the images, feeling, and thinking, a part of yourself? Dualists think so. On one hand, there is the material part of your body, and on the other hand, the immaterial and conscious part, the soul. This idea dates back to the Platonists. The perfect mind, the timeless soul, is trapped within the mortal body. They even believe that, in the body, the head, the seat of intellect, was the most divine part, and the rest of the body was just a mere vehicle. The lower parts were the basest. The materialist school argues that there is no separate essence from the body. If consciousness exists, it is a product of matter. It can be said that matter is an emergent property arising from the physical, chemical, and biological organization of matter. Within this school of thought, one current suggests that consciousness is a mere byproduct of evolution, while another asserts that consciousness is an illusion. Either way, the fact remains that we have consciousness, and how and why it emerged continues to be a highly debated topic. Some authors claim that consciousness emerged with culture. Others argue it has existed since the dawn of humanity, while some propose it appeared with the advent of mammals, and even earlier, including birds and cephalopods as conscious beings. Tests have been conducted where an animal is marked in a place it cannot see, and a mirror is placed in front of it. If the animal, instead of reacting as if it encountered another animal, touches the mark on its own body, it is considered evidence of self-awareness. Primates, dolphins, elephants, birds, and octopuses have passed this test, so at least in this aspect, it seems that human beings are not the only conscious beings. But could insects, plants, or even artificial beings be conscious as well? There is a philosophical standpoint called panpsychism, which asserts that not only living beings have consciousness, but that everything possesses it, including minerals, artificial objects, and even subatomic particles. According to this view, the pebble in your beans and the spoon you use to eat them would have a certain type of consciousness, but it would be so different from human consciousness that we cannot recognize it. Neuroscientist Giulio Tononi proposed a different way of understanding consciousness known as the integrated information theory. This theory suggests that consciousness depends on a material substrate but is not reducible to the material alone. Any system that possesses even the tiniest amount of integrated information experiences something. Integrated information refers to the idea that the state of each part of the system is linked to the state of the other parts and to the system as a whole. In the human brain, for example, there are networks that communicate each neuron with the others, creating complex and interdependent patterns. Each possible pattern is a state of the system correlated with a perception, sensation, emotion, thought, memory, and so on, what Tononi refers to as qualia, which he represents with geometrical patterns. To be conscious, a system needs to be a singular entity with a large repertoire of highly differentiated states. A living and awake brain is conscious, while the same brain, liquefied, is not. Tononi even proposed a way to calculate the degree of consciousness of a system and measure it using a variable called phi. A dragonfly would have a higher phi than a calculator, your dog would have a higher phi than your mom's geraniums, and you would have a higher phi than your dog. Now, as for human consciousness, with its high degree of complexity, capable of storytelling, laughing at jokes, feeling compassion for others, suffering for things that have not yet happened, and pondering the meaning of life and consciousness itself, how did it emerge? This question remains a subject of intense debate and exploration among scientists, philosophers, and thinkers alike. The origins and nature of human consciousness are complex and not fully understood, but it continues to be a fascinating area of investigation. Dr. Boris Kochubey proposes that for human consciousness to have emerged as we know it, there must have been a condition already present in our non-human animal ancestors: anticipatory behaviors. These are the abilities that many living beings have to act with foresight towards a result. For example, a fox waiting outside a rabbit's burrow, anticipating its prey to come out, or a parrot singing a song in anticipation of receiving a reward express anticipatory behaviors. Some anticipatory behaviors are strongly tied to instincts and cannot be changed, while others are learned and enable the formation of possible future scenarios. It is these learned anticipatory behaviors that are particularly valuable for the formation of consciousness. Based on anticipatory behaviors, 3 components are built, also present in animals, that serve as precursors to human consciousness. The first component is communication. The presence of symbolic language fosters the formation of a virtual world in which things, animals, people, and, above all, oneself, are substituted by representations. This second reality is not false. On the contrary, these representations have the ability to influence one's own behaviors and those of others. The second component is the use of tools. This involves indirect interaction with the environment, which allows for a distinction between the object and the self, thanks to the mediation of the tool. When a crow adjusts the size of a branch to reach hidden food, it is doing something different from an animal trying to reach the object directly. It is defining itself. I do. The third component is play. Play involves actions that do not have direct practical consequences. A young tiger playing at hunting will not obtain food and will not be in danger. Play is done for fun but serves a long-term purpose as a form of training. This aspect of play is also a kind of second reality that lays the groundwork for consciousness. Furthermore, to experience the enjoyment of play, there needs to be a self that feels rewarded, even if there are no real consequences. These 3 components are highly developed in humans and interact with each other in a unique way, making our consciousness distinct in the animal kingdom. But why did we, out of all species, achieve this combination? It is due to the way our body evolved. In her book Wanderlust, A History of Walking, author Rebecca Solnit notes that consciousness is often considered what sets humans apart from other animals, but the human body is also unlike anything else that has ever existed on Earth, and in a way, the human body has shaped consciousness. No other animal, even if it is bipedal, walks like humans do. This mode of walking allowed us to free our hands to use and create tools and to communicate, as our first form of communication was through gestures. Our unique way of walking is made possible by the differences in our body, our straight back and flexible waist, arched feet, and long legs compared to other primates. And, above all, we have our buttocks. The gluteus maximus muscle is small in monkeys, but it is the largest muscle in humans and plays a fundamental role in the constant act of balance that is walking on 2 feet. So, you know now, if you possess that mysterious attribute called consciousness, you can thank your buttocks for it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to comment if you want us to discuss a specific topic.